Black people, y'all know this exists. I didn't know it. As a white person, you think the courts are good. You think everything that happens, they deserve it, and it's right. What I discovered was, once you are victimized by injustice, there is no escape. There are three alternatives. You will be destitute and homeless, you will be incarcerated, or you will be a death by suicide. I wake up every day wishing I was capable of suicide, this morning included. I have been in litigation since 2007. I've survived it. That's about all, though. I've got nothing. I mean, this suit, it's 20 years old. It's older than my kids. Once, I needed to find out why, after all of these years, everybody thought it was okay to treat me like crap. And I looked and I called everybody, and I begged and pleaded every level of government, from local all the way to the president. And I was mocked in courtrooms for contacting the president. And it turns out that Todd locked me in his office one day after we had met and gone over a few other issues that were going on. And the only book left to read was the Rules of Professional Conduct, the rules that the lawyers follow. And reading through about 180 pages, everything pointed to one rule. Rule 1.6, Confidentiality of Information. That rule basically says lawyers and judges, who have to be lawyers to start with, must follow this rule for the rest of their lives. And you will not release information that adversely affects the integrity of the court, adversely affects the reputation of lawyers, hurts yourself as a lawyer, or hurts your client. All misconduct falls under those categories. The Kids for Cash scandal, that's why the whole county of Luzerne kept their mouths shut. It wasn't because they wanted to. They weren't all friends. They don't like each other. But the problem is, it's against the law to reveal that two judges were throwing kids in jail and making money. The Attorney General knew, Tom Corbett knew, 4 Attorneys General knew. Kathleen Kane was in the next county. She knew. And they did nothing, because it's against the law to expose the corruption of the courts. Nationally, this rule was enacted starting in 1984 in New Jersey, and it proceeded to be enacted all the way until 2009. The final state was Maine. The entire continental United States, Alaska and Hawaii, and the Virgin Islands are affected. The other outside territories are not. But the problem is, it affects the federal courts. Because when we discovered the constitutional problem, that we lost our constitutional rights within the state, the only way to survive it was to go federal. We went to the federal courts where they follow the local rules of civil procedure, which tell them to follow the Pennsylvania rules of professional responsibility. We're screwed. Because we're right back to the one rule we're fighting is undermining the very court system that we're going to. So we rose up to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. The Third Circuit Court of Appeals has their local rules. Their local rules say we are going to follow the Pennsylvania rules of professional conduct, and boom, we're right back there. Every federal court does it. Every federal court has the local rules in whatever district they are. All of it comes down to Rule 1.6. It's called Confidentiality of Information. It is about not talking. Every time somebody's not saying something, that's what's doing it. I can hear it in every case. The kids in Pennsylvania, it was perfect. It was right. Kids for Cash was an obscene injustice. And I met with Sandy Fonzo up in Wilkes-Barre, and I said to her, I go, I'm not about bringing back all that pain that you went through. Her son committed suicide after what he went through as a teenager. I said, I want to give you closure. Because the commission that the governor and the legislature and the courts appointed was told, go find out what was wrong. We don't want it to be a criminal thing, but just find out what's wrong and give us the reforms to fix it. And 15 lawyers on that commission interviewed the district attorneys, the lawyers, and everybody around town. They interviewed the lawyers. So a commission of lawyers interviewed the lawyers, and they came up with, what good would it do? That was their answer. They couldn't say, it's against the law to expose the corruption of a judge. They all know Rule 1.6. They had to follow Rule 1.6. Their report was a complete fraud because it didn't reveal that it is the law that they must conceal this kind of judicial corruption. And that basic concept gets bigger. Because initially I thought, well, it's just me affected by it. And we drove to Harrisburg because we were going to confront Kathleen Kane and we were going to fix this. We called it Flush the Turd because it was the thing that was just making our lives miserable. And when we got there, we found out that they didn't write this rule in Harrisburg. And the head of the Rules Committee met with us for about 45 minutes, and he basically explained, he couldn't tell us who, he was a lawyer, he's not allowed to tell us what the problem is, couldn't discuss the problem. But when we mentioned Rule 1.6 was our issue, he opened the door and held a 45-minute meeting with us where he discussed what we needed to do to get it changed. But he also said, we didn't do it in Harrisburg. So as we're driving home, he's like, well, if it wasn't done in Harrisburg, where was it done? Quick to the internet, next thing, well, Rule 1.6, that's written by the Bar Association. It's part of the Model Rules of Professional Conduct. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, it's not just Pennsylvania. Rule 1.6 is in every state. Same name, the same number. Now there's no way states can coincidentally all end up with the exact same number. The Bar Association rolled this out because they needed to cover up the corruption that had happened in Chicago. Operation Greylord decimated the Cook County Courthouse. 19 or 20 judges, I think a total of 117 prosecutions happened. They all went to jail with the exception of one. When that happened, the Bar Association wanted the prosecutor that reported it to the FBI that resulted in the prosecution, they wanted him prosecuted for treason because he undermined the judiciary. He exposed all of the corruption and a fully prosecuted federal case. They also wanted to make sure it never happened again. So what did they do? They took the Model Rules of Professional Conduct, which was the code for lawyers. Just like the plumbers have a code, lawyers had a code. And it was over there, and it was their business. Nobody needed, I don't worry about the plumbing code unless I need a plumber. They took that code and they made it into law. Well, as soon as it became law, it wasn't a discretionary choice of whether we keep our mouths shut and protect our brother lawyer. No, it was a mandate. You will keep your mouth shut. The Attorney General is a lawyer. She can't prosecute it. She's a lawyer first. Kathleen Kane is very clear when she discusses this, and I think she does it for the purpose of exposing it at the same time. She will follow the United States Constitution, the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the Rules of Professional Conduct. She never misses, always hits the three. And the problem is, she always hits the three. The third set, a rule for lawyers, to only affect lawyers and judges, goes from the moment you become a lawyer beyond death. Rule 1.6 does not end in your death. If somebody's in jail for wrong reasons and the paperwork's there, you can't expose it even after your death. So they take it very seriously. And it undermines my rights. Because once an injustice occurred against me, when a judge did some favor for a lawyer, it undermined my case in 2007. A secret court order existed. And for 3 years I was a paranoid computer guy, thinking everything was just me. And then I found it. And then all hearings stopped. And the injustice got worse. The one thing that I've told people about invoking Rule 1.6 in your litigation, you will find it. You will know exactly when it got triggered, because it's when the world turned upside down. It's when nothing made sense and no one explained anything anymore. And in my case, it was before I even walked into a courtroom. It's affected me for the last 8 years.
Excuse me, Mr. Healy, this would be a good time for you to give out your handouts on Rule 1.6.
I've got a pile of handouts.
And maybe we should all take a picture together.
And we've got a website that explains it. It explains my misery.
Real quick, the American Bar Association created a government inside our government. Is what they did. There's governors from every state.